e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6, knight c3, g6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, bishop g7, bishop e3, knight f6, knight b3, d6, f3, bishop e6, queen d2, d5, bishop b5, d takes e4, queen takes d8 check, rook takes d8, f takes e4, bishop d7, castle queenside, knight g4, bishop c5, bishop takes c3, b takes c3, b6, bishop g1, knight ce5, bishop d3, bishop a4, bishop d4, knight takes d3 check, c takes d3, rook takes d4, c takes d4, knight f2, king d2, knight takes h1, rook takes h1, e6, knight c1, king e7, knight e2, bishop d7, a4, rook c8, knight c3, f5, rook b1, f takes e4, d takes e4, e5, king d3, e takes d4, king takes d4, rook c5, knight d5 check, king f7, rook f1 check, king g7, knight c3, bishop e6, knight b5, rook c2, king e5, bishop g8, rook g1, a5, knight d6, bishop b3, rook b1, bishop takes a4, rook takes b6, rook takes g2, h4, rook h2, rook a6, rook takes h4, rook takes a5, bishop d1, rook a1, rook h1, knight e8 check, king h6, knight f6, king g5, rook a7, h5, knight h7 check, king h6, knight f8, rook f1, rook h7 check, King G5. Knight E6, check. King H4. Rook G7. Rook G1. Knight D4. G5. Knight F5, check. King H3. Knight E3. Bishop F3. King F5. King H4. King E5. Bishop G4. King D4. Bishop H3. E5. Rook A1. Rook G6. Rook A4, check. King D5. Rook A5, check. King D4. Rook A8. E6. Rook E8. King E5. Bishop G4. King D6. Rook takes E6, check. Rook takes E6. Bishop takes E6. King takes E6. King G3. King F5. King F3. King takes G5. King takes E3. King takes H5.